Stop looking at Middle East news as just politics. Start looking at it as a bill you are being forced to foot without your consent. You see explosions and aircraft carriers on the news and think, that's a world away, it doesn't affect me. But while you are scrolling through your feed, your grocery bill just jumped 15% and that Miami vacation got a few $100s more expensive. We aren't here to debate ideology, we are here to understand how chaos on the other side of the planet is reaching into your back pocket right now. This is a hidden geopolitical tax paid by every American family, and today I'm going to show you Ground Zero, where the fate of your budget for this year is being decided. Take a look at this. The Strait of Hormuz, only 21 miles wide and at its narrowest point. 20% of the world's oil and gas flows through this crack in the map. If something goes wrong here, the global economy starts to suffocate. The news will show you maps of minefields and naval battles. But here's a real secret. You don't need to fire a single bullet to stop global trade. All it takes is a couple of guys in expensive suits with Excel spreadsheets. It's called a soft blockade. When the risk of an attack goes up, insurance companies simply rewrite the bills. Shipping insurance has spiked by 1,200%. Imagine if your car insurance suddenly cost $20,000 a month. You'd simply stop driving. That's exactly what shipping giant Maersk and others did. They weren't afraid of missiles, they just didn't want to go bankrupt on insurance premiums. Next time you hear about a military blockade, know this. That's just marketing. What we're actually seeing is a financial siege. 85% of the region's oil isn't trapped by mines, it's trapped by the mathematics of risk. While politicians argue over democracy, insurance syndicates are effectively turning their lights off on the global economy. Let's talk about your American dream, specifically that house you were eyeing last month. At the start of 2026, we all breathed a sigh of relief. Mortgage rates finally dipped below 6%. The housing market started to catch its breath, and then the news from Iran hit. In literally 1 week, the rate shot back up to 6.5%. Why? Because the bond market is the most skittish animal on earth. Investors see an oil shock and immediately know one thing: inflation is back. But here's the real nightmare. The Federal Reserve is currently in a state economists call mandate paralysis. On one hand, the US economy is losing jobs, down 92,000 in February. By law, the Fed is supposed to cut rates to save your employment. On the other hand, oil is skyrocketing, which means the price of everything is about to go up. If they cut rates now, inflation turns into a wildfire. When you hear someone complaining to their bank about a high mortgage, you can correct them. The bank isn't the problem. The Fed just had the steering wheel ripped out of its hands. Geopolitics has backed Jeremy Powell into a corner. He can't save the job market without killing the dollar. Your new kitchen is being put on hold not because of greedy bankers, but because tankers in the Strait of Hormuz are on pause. Okay, so maybe you can wait to buy a house, but what about summer vacation or just a Saturday night dinner? This is where the Iranian shock hits even harder. First, airfare. Airlines are essentially fuel-burning companies that just happen to own planes. Fuel accounts for 30% of their expenses. Jet fuel just spiked by 56%. They won't just hike the ticket price that scares people off. Instead, they will slap on a fuel surcharge. That's that extra $150 in your car that appears at the very last second before you hit pay. Second, your dinner plate. The Middle East isn't just about gas, it's about fertilizer. 30% of the world's nitrogen fertilizer exports from through that same narrow strip of water. But my favorite way corporations will make you pay for this war is shrinkflation. You'll see the same price on your favorite cereal or cookies, but inside there is 15% less product. You'll be paying the same price for air. Most people think a conflict in the Persian Gulf is about tanks and missiles. You now know the truth. It's about the basic building blocks of our lives. Tell your friends at the next barbecue, we are paying for this conflict 3 times. Once at the pump, once when we book a vacation, and the third time when we buy a bag of chips that's mostly empty. That is the invisible geopolitical tax. What we're witnessing right now is what analysts call a dual choke point crisis. Having simultaneous chaos in the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal is a perfect storm for global trade. Panic is a tax on people who don't understand the game. You are no longer one of them. So what do you do with this? First, accept the new reality. The hidden tax is already here. If you're planning a vacation or a major purchase, build an extra 15% geopolitical buffer into your budget. That isn't pessimism, it's called hard math. Second, stop waiting for a miracle from the Fed. Rates aren't going to crater tomorrow because this inflation isn't being driven by printing presses. It's being driven by tankers taking the long way around Africa. Plan your life based on what we see today, not what they promised us last year. We can't turn those aircraft carriers around, but we can stop being the ones who foot the bill for the banquet. The news will always show you fire and smoke, but remember, today's real wars are won or lost in insurance policies, logistics chains, and Excel spreadsheets. The person who sees the invisible threads connecting an explosion in the desert to the price of milk in Iowa will always be one step ahead of the crowd. Think in systems and don't let the headlines control your wallet. See you in the next breakdown.